Agency owners have a ton to think about every single day, from serving clients to growing the business, leading the team, et cetera, et cetera. Then there's the back office grind. Things like reconciling commissions, payroll, tax prep, HR compliance, blah, blah, blah. It's all necessary, but incredibly time consuming. That's where our friends and partners over at Agency Point come in to help. Agency Point specializes in all the details agencies can't afford to ignore: accounting, tax, HR, and legal. They can even handle commission reconciliation so that nothing slips through the cracks. And if you've heard us talk, you know that this is one of the most important things that agencies must do. By managing the back office essentials, they free up agency leaders and their leadership team to focus on strategy, growth, and clients. An agency that works with them told us, Agency Point gave me back 10 hours a week. And now I spend that time building my business, knowing the foundation is solid. If you're looking for a trusted partner who can help lighten the load without competing for your strategy seat, check out Agency Point.
You think that that's something you can do. It's your identity. It's something you do. But once you take that out and hand it off to somebody else, you'd be surprised how much more comes to you in life and what you need to do and what you really like. Maybe you missed your son's baseball game or your daughter's recital because you wanted to finish the P&L that week. Well, take that out. Now you got to go. Wow.
Welcome to the Insurance Refocused podcast, where we're highlighting real agent stories and how they are innovating to respond to the changes and challenges happening in the independent insurance industry. My name's Lindsay, and I can't wait to introduce you to my amazing co-host, who just so happens to be my mom, Carey Wallace. Mom, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Lindsay. How was your weekend, and how's the start to your week going?
It's going good. I had a really fun weekend. It's still quite warm here in South Carolina. It is mid-November at the time we're recording this. So it was a good weekend. It was like 75 and sunny. I feel so lucky to have had that. And we took our new puppy Kona on her first ever boat ride this weekend, and she loved it. So we are excited that we officially have a boat dog in the family. Woohoo!
I mean, let's be real. She should be a boat dog. She's give me again what her breed is. Oh my goodness, I blanked on the breed.
Boinkin. They're the only dogs that have webbed feet for like better swimming.
Yeah. So if she doesn't like boats, no dog's gonna like a boat, right? So
no, exactly.
Anyway, well, we were not on the boat this weekend, thankfully. It was beautiful weather, and your dad did not flip out that he did not get on the boat, because I think we're getting ready to move the boat up to Charleston, and he knows that's a big ride coming. But we did not make it. We thought we were going to do it on Saturday, but we did not make it out. So we're a little jealous of Kona that she got to ride and we did not, sadly, Yeah.
Exactly. Well, soon enough, I'm sure we'll all be on a boat ride together up here in Charleston. So something to look forward to, a light at the end of the packing tunnel here.
For sure.
All right. Well, I am excited to jump into this week's episode. We have actually another podcaster in our midst. His resume really just stuck out as a great guest to come on Insurance Refocused. So, Trace, we are so excited to have you on this week's episode.
Well, thank you so much, Lindsay, and thank you, Carey, for having me on. This is exciting stuff.
Yeah. So, Trace, I was looking through some of your social media, doing some cyber stalking of you, as I like to do, before we get on an episode, and saw that you actually hosted your own podcast with your son.
That's right. It was called Can You Guess It? And it was a podcast where my son Johnny and I would discuss, he was 8 at the time, we would discuss 10 things and try to guess what we were talking about. And it was great in concept, but then it got kind of complicated, because we're having to ask the questions to ourselves and try to bring the audience in at the same time with the conversation. So I think we did, I want to say 30 episodes.
Okay.
And we stopped after that. It was tough for an 8-year-old to do it. I was telling you all earlier that in the middle of the recording, he'd go, "Can I go play with my Legos?" And so, because it's hard to keep a 8-year-old's
Totally.
attention span. So, but we actually, I checked it the other day. We had a couple thousand listens last month. So
That's amazing.
awesome.
it's still out there. And every now and then I'll get an email from a mom saying, "When are you going to do more?" Because our kids are having so much fun listening to this in the car. So
That's fun. How old is your son now?
he's 15.
15.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Maybe it's time to start it back up.
Yeah, he's now all into golf. So that's his new thing and school. So trying to get into college. But yeah, no, I'd love to try to start that up with him again. It was a lot of fun. It'd be different to see it at a 15-year-old's level, right?
Yeah.
His person, place, or thing. So he could be like person, Scotty Scheffler, thing, golf club, place, golf course.
Well, so I don't want to give a lot of it away, but there is some golf mixed in there. But if you do it, we would start giving facts about it, and you'd have to guess who we were talking about. So, like for instance, there was a field that had animals during the war, and so we'd go hardest to easiest, and we'd try to guess along the way with the audience.
Got
so
it.
yeah,
Got it. That's fun. So would it be that you or your son had a topic or a person, place, or thing, and the other one was trying to guess what that was, or did you both know what it was and the audience was guessing?
I don't want to give all the secrets away. You're going to need to listen to it, Lindsay.
I know, I do.
We got to go check it out, right?
At the end of the day, we kind of had to know because we'd reread the script so many times, so we would kind of have an idea. But we tried to start it off with us not knowing, but then we weren't involved in the writing either, so that made it a little tough. But
Gotcha.
no, it was a family affair. My wife would help find topics and facts, and I learned so much about things that I never even knew about. So.
Yeah.
So Trace, I will tell you, if you want to get to know someone really well, host a podcast with them. And, I've often said, even with this podcast, which I shouldn't say this out loud, but I say it all the time, so no one will be shocked. When I first started and thought about doing this podcast, the best part is I get to do it with my daughter. You know what I mean? Like the byproduct is other people actually look to us for information and, it helps create a brand, all those good things. But the absolute best part is I was facing a time when my daughter had graduated from college. She had gone to get her master's, she's engaged, she's getting ready to get married. And you as a parent, you start thinking about, I have limited time. Like I've got limited holidays. I've got limited times that they're going to be in our house. There's limited times you're going to spend with your kids. And this is a great way to actually expand that time, So I would just tell you at 15, maybe there's another podcast to be done, because it creates this whole different relationship. And many of my friends were mourning, like, they're not going to live under our roof. They're not going to do these things. But there are other things you could do that maybe you couldn't do when they did live under your roof. So anyway, something to think about, but it's been the best thing working together and having a podcast together. What a gift. So yeah.
Well, and the cool part I love about it is that once that podcast is out there in the internet, it's probably never going away. So it'll be a great thing. Your grandkids and your great grandkids will be able to get to hear how you really felt and what you did. And there's really no other way to tell that story except through podcasting. And because Apple created the word podcast and made it to where anyone could do it, it's like self-publishing, when I was Lindsay 15, 20 years ago, I wanted to do the same thing in insurance. But man, putting a podcast together 15, 20 years ago, you didn't have a simple system. You can have a great podcasting personality, but the systems and the technology wasn't there yet. So I'm so excited for you guys.
Yeah, it's been fun. And it's fun we work together. And I know you're no stranger to that. You were telling us that you were a third generation insurance owner. Were you eventually the owner of that agency?
I was. That's correct. Yeah. So I came on in 2007. I came into the insurance industry, which my father reminded me many a times it was probably the worst time to come in the industry, because then 2008 happened, 2009, and the whole market just went. It was just terrible. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So who started the agency? I know that it's you and your dad, but who started it? And give us a little bit of the history with that.
Sure. My grandfather started it in 1954. He was looking for something to do. He was actually, oddly, an undertaker for a while. I went to the Cincinnati School of Embalming My grandmother
Wow.
would do the hair and nails, and my grandfather would do the embalming, and he ran the ambulance. I mean, back in the 40s and the 50s, the ambulance was what they used. The undertaker ran the ambulance. So I
Right.
think it was not his favorite. I think he was looking to do more, right? And he
Yeah.
ran into a guy that was trying to start a real estate office. And he wanted to do the insurance, which back in the 50s, that was kind of what you did. You kind of put all those things, you put those two systems together. And so it was Maurice Condon and John Meek. And so it was Condon Meek Insurance and Real Estate. And so he started that in 1954 and went almost 70 years before I took a decision to shift gears for the family.
Yeah. Yeah. And chat with us about that decision to shift. So what kind of happened and then where are you now?
So 7 years ago in March, coming up this 7th year, I actually broke my left foot. And, as agency owners, we're always running around with our head cut off or involved in the industry, right? Like, you're running a team of people, you're running management systems, just all that. And you never have time to stop and think, I think. And I think that's something I've learned kind of on my spiritual journey. But so break my left foot. I'm laying on the couch, not able to really do anything. And I lay there thinking, what are some of the things been going on lately in my office that's really frustrating? And one of them was underwriting. I don't know if you guys constantly get this, but it's the shouting back and forth over the cubicles. It's the asking like, who'll write a 12-year-old roof? And they'll be like, oh, XYZ carrier. And they're like, well, they won't take a pit bull. He goes, well, you didn't say pit bull. You just said 12-year-old roof. And it's all these little factors, right? And you're constant. And I'm sitting outside my office and I'm listening to all this. And I'm like, everyone's literally stopped working to try to write one $1,200 homeowner risk, right? And I'm like, it's costing me more money than that. So that's where the idea of Fetch came. There has to be a way to filter and manage all the underwriting, especially for homeowners.
Oh, okay. Very cool. So you started this how long ago? You said
It'll be 7 years this March, 2019.
Okay. Yeah. So that was before an LLM, like a large language model, existed, right? You were building it like a database?
Correct. A filtered database. And I thought it would be pretty simple. I called up my buddy Josh, big tech coder. He's my business partner, co-founder of Fetch. He has been on this journey with me. It's been a roller coaster. More than a roller coaster, it's like Space Mountain at Disney. Are you familiar with that ride? The lights are off and you don't know what direction you're going. Sometimes you're upside down, There's other people screaming. Yeah, that's pretty much a startup.
Sometimes, yeah.
That's a different kind of roller coaster for sure. Oh my goodness gracious. I love that description. So tell me how the recent surge, and I'm going to call it a surge. I'm well aware that AI has existed for a very, very long time. But tell me how you started where you started and how the recent awareness, utilization, et cetera, of AI has changed what you guys are doing. Did it put rocket fuel in what you're doing?
Sure. So my idea initially was to have a Google database search, right? Where you type in who will write a pit bull in a 12-year-old roof. And my business partner says, well, it's going to cost us like $5-10 million to build this. I mean, back then it was a large language model, but it was just a different concept. And I was like, okay, well, how do we tone it back, right? Because that's what happens to us. That's what happens to us as innovators, entrepreneurs, agents. We always want to go to the moon, but sometimes we got to figure out, what we need to build first. So we built, I thought it was going to be as easy as like an Excel spreadsheet of data. But what we found is underwriting data isn't just yes and no, it's also maybe. It's the gray area. And it's three-dimensional, right? So if it's in this county, it might do this. If it's in another county, it might do that. And so building that out took about 6 months to really build the mechanics behind it and then build the system. So then once we built it, you would just select the filters on the left-hand side and it would populate your carriers on the right-hand side and tell you which risks it would write.
Wow, super interesting. So
so to get to your AI question now, so it wasn't until this AI came alive about 3 years ago that we were now we have probably one of the largest databases of underwriting information in the country. Okay. So now we were able to we built the whole engine and now we were able to put it into a spaceship known as large language model. So now it was the rocket fuel. It was the mechanism to make it work. So, so we are now we actually named it Ellie. After my daughter, who was 4 or 5 years old at the time, I was chasing after her, and that's how I broke my foot.
Oh, no.
That's hilarious. I love it. Ellie is the reason that we now have Ask Fetch, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So tell me the name, tell me the reason behind the name, and then I have all kinds of questions for you around the tool, but why Ask Fetch?
So originally it was just fetching the data, right? It was going out, it was fetching it, and then bringing back, retrieving like a dog. And originally the logo was a dog, but we had a hard time deciding which dog someone would love, right? So you have a water dog. I have pointers. I have 2 pointers. I have a Brock Francis and a what is it called? My wife's going to kill me because I forgot the name. But anyway, they're both bird dogs.
Yep.
Harvey and Honey are their names. But so it was about fetching it. And then we had a picture of the logo and the dog's holding a tennis ball in its mouth. And my wife looks at it and she goes, it just needs to be the tennis ball. And let the person who sees it imagine their own dog.
Oh, that's super smart. I love that. Yeah. Very cool.
I love that.
So it's called Fetch. And then Ellie was an internal piece of the AI. And so we named her Ellie after my daughter.
So just to answer your question, which dog will people love most? I have an Aussie Doodle, and I'm going to go with the Doodles. The Doodles might be the most loved dog on the planet. That or the Retriever. So you were, listen, I'm biased, but you asked, I answered. How about that?
Here we go. Let me, hold on. It's on the other side of the room. So this is what we give at conventions. Tennis balls that say Fetch.
Love it.
So I'll mail you guys some.
I can't wait. I would love to have
for your dogs.
Yeah. And the fetch is like what you guys do, right? You guys are the ones fetching the information. So that makes total sense. I love that. I love when like the mechanics behind what you do just matches up perfectly to a marketing piece that's like everyone loves this thing, right? Who doesn't like playing fetch with their dog? Like,
well, and it's fun when you have, so we do a pyramid of tennis balls that's like 2-3 feet high, and people will come by the convention hall, when we do this stuff, and we'll give them a tennis ball, and they'll hold it, they'll throw it up in the air, and they'll bounce it, and they'll talk to us. It's just so funny how they interact with the ball. Just like, it's fun, right? And that's what I wanted to bring to this industry, was a fun company, because there's so many boring things in insurance.
Amen. Amen.
That's so funny.
Yes.
So Trace, there are obviously agencies. I've heard agencies before who try to build something like this themselves, right? But there's only so deep as an agency you can go. So tell us a bit about how do agencies utilize this in their everyday life, and what is it like? Tell us a little bit difference between something an agency might be able to build versus what you guys have been able to build.
Sure, let's start there, because there's really 4 ways an agent underwrites a risk, right? They build a 3-ring binder and they print them out as they so find, right? So the carrier might let you know they have a new QRG, a new reference guide, whatever. They print it and put it in the 3-ring binder. That's where we were at our office at one time. Then the agent tries to build an Excel spreadsheet. And this Excel spreadsheet just becomes this ginormous, overwhelming piece of data that's hard to maintain. Then there's the fun one, which is you email your underwriter and you just sit hitting refresh on your email, waiting to hear back that answer. Or just picking up the phone and calling. And if you like on hold elevator music for 15 minutes or whenever you think you're going to get that answer for one carrier, right? This is just those last 2 is just one piece. Then you have to do it multiple times if you have multiple carriers to underwrite. So that's where Fetch solves that issue, especially with Ellie now. So now you can just ask Ellie. You can ask her up to 5 carriers at one time. We hope to make that more, but you can choose your 5 carriers and you say, who will write a 1954 home with a solar panel roof on a 12-year-old shingle with a trampoline? And she'll spit all that information out faster than you can dial a phone to an underwriter.
That's awesome.
Interesting. So it doesn't have, and you have all the carriers in there. So any carrier you can think of is in your database. Is that correct?
We're always adding carriers for sure.
Yeah.
We're just expanding into other states right now. We were mainly in Florida. I don't know if you guys know, but Florida has like 30 homeowner carriers. So it was a beast. And that's where my agency was. And that's where my frustration was. That's where I had the relationships. That's where we built. So now we're slowly moving into other states and getting it out there for agents to use for that.
Gotcha.
And and as an agent, I didn't do I didn't do a 3-year contract. I didn't make it expensive. $25 a month per user. Like,
that's where I was going. Like, how much does this cost, and what is the? So, what if someone lives in a state where there's a lot of E&S? Will it also, like, are there brokers in there, or is this just carrier specific at the moment?
we're carrier specific at this moment. If you talk to some of those E&S carriers, they're like, "Oh, we'll write anything."
I know.
Do you have any? Well, we have some underwriting restrictions. Okay, can you give me the underwriting restrictions? No, those are proprietary. I'm like, okay. So, do you want us to help you or not? So they just want to send that data. But if there's a carrier not there, we have a lot of agents all over the country, and a lot of them are really good. If they have a new carrier come to the market or something, they send over the quick reference guides. We train Ellie on that new data, and then it's up and going. It could be a day. It could be a week.
Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's very cool. I will tell you though, the nature of our industry is both a blessing and a curse, because the fact that we have choices and the fact that we represent multiple carriers or have different avenues on which to solve our clients' needs creates this challenge. But tools like this level the playing field in a pretty significant way. But me even asking that question, I mean, I kind of knew the answer to the question, but I wanted to see how you guys are handling it. Just shows the complexity of our industry, but also is creating this thing that creates the challenge for all of us, making it simplified so agents are able to operate better and faster, quicker, meeting their clients' needs in a pretty significant way, which I think is the future. Like, if we're not figuring out ways to do this, our blessing becomes only the curse, and therefore we're not able to respond. So hats off to you for taking something that is massive and trying to simplify it and make it the blessing that it really is. So it's not an easy feat by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, and we do think of the insured first.
Yeah.
And we want a great experience for the insured, the consumer, when they call the agent. And so we want to provide the tool for the agent to have that creates that great experience.
Because that's the beauty of what we are doing here. But that whole situation that there's multiple choices creates friction, slows everything down. And the average customer doesn't know, care, or even think about the fact that there's friction in the process. You know what I mean? Like, that's to me, the biggest challenge in our industry is, it's really not the customer's problem or fault or concern that there's a lot of friction. You know,
they just want to know how you can get back to them faster.
100%. And why wouldn't they? Yep. I walk in my kitchen and ask a question and the thing just answers me. So why in the world can you not do the same thing with my coverage? Like, what's the deal? Right. I mean, if we're being real.
I got some interesting stats for you. MIT did a study on internet companies, one of them being insurance. If you were able to get back to your client with the question that they have about the product you're selling within 5 minutes versus 30 minutes, you were 21 times. That's 21 times more likely to write the business.
Wow.
Study was done 15 years ago.
Yeah. It's
I will tell you that number is way up there.
I was going to say, if it took you 5 minutes to answer a question, I just told you, I can walk in my kitchen, say, hey, Google, or whatever, I think it's Google, hey, Google, blah, 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 and it says it immediately. That's the expectation. I mean, I know that's crazy. I can ask all kinds of questions and get all kinds of answers real fast, you know?
Well, and it's like Amazon. Sometimes I go to order things and it's not price. And I think that's where we as agents sometimes get stuck in, is that it's about the price. Sometimes it's about the speed, right? And Amazon, sometimes I'm willing to spend a couple bucks to have it delivered today.
Absolutely.
Then 2 days from now.
Or I'll choose the product that I know I can get it in the time that I need it. There's plenty of options out there, but I'll choose the one that'll get to me at the time that I need it to be, which, I mean, I don't know about you, Trace, but I live on an island. If I would have thought that 15 years ago that I could get anything same day and I live on an island, that's insane, right?
Awesome.
Like, that's nuts, right? So,
well, and now Amazon even has like the extra feature where if you already have an order coming to you, you can add things to your order. It's dangerous.
That's so dangerous.
One click and
I
like,
just did it this morning.
It's dangerous. It's so bad. And then I always feel bad for like the delivery people when you wake up and your order's there at like 5 a.m. and you're like, this was not here when I went to bed at 9 p.m. last night. Like someone was like at 3 a.m. delivering this to my house. I don't really feel that bad. They're, getting paid and having a job, but crazy nonetheless that they can do things like that, right?
Yeah. And we need to start figuring out how to do it as agents.
We do.
We do.
We absolutely do. And that's what this is doing. So tell me, what's the biggest hurdle you see in agents adopting a product like yours or service like yours?
So I think what happens with agents, and this happened with me when I owned my agency, is it's shiny new objects, right? And you just keep bringing this in, and your tech stack is like a Jenga game. And it just gets too tall, too much, and then nothing ever works. And I think that's where the frustration from the agents are. And I think what you have to do is you have to look at it from the pain point first, the boots on the ground, and say to them, what's your biggest struggle right now? And if they say it's the underwriting issue, then they need to call Ask Fetch. I mean, I'm biased to that, but if they say, well, it's building the COIs, right? We need a faster system. Focus on the pain point and find the solution. Don't get a solution and try to shove it into something that's not a pain point.
Amen to that. Mm-hmm. Amen to that. I think the biggest challenge is, Trace, you go to a group, you go to an event, you go to a trade show, you do whatever, you talk to other agents, and they're talking about what their pain point is or a product they've used to solve a problem. And the owner's thinking, that's brilliant. Let's do this. I'm all in. They take it back to their agency and the agent's like, yeah, we don't struggle with that. Or it creates confusion in an area that wasn't my primary thing. So I'm not going to use that. I'm going to focus over here in the problem that I want to solve. As agency owners, you don't do all of those roles all the time. And you got to know what is actually the thing that you're trying to solve, or what do your people need you to solve for them versus what is some other agent that is raving about it, which, oh, by the way, they could be completely different makeup than you. They can do a completely different focus than you, because not all agencies are the same. If I've learned anything from the work that I do, not all agencies are the same, and it is not a one size fits all by any stretch of the imagination. So, yeah.
They're like fingerprints, right? They're all different.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
And so are you running the agency while you're running Ask Fetch, or no?
So I sold a couple of years ago. I sold the agency. I came to a crossroads where Fetch needed me more. The agency needed me more. The market wasn't great. I had a great opportunity for a great offer. And I said, I have more to give the industry as CEO of Fetch than I do as CEO of the agency. And so I wanted to give that back. So, needed the money too, so it didn't hurt. So,
there is that reality. Like, building these things are not easy, and it takes a lot of resources, time, energy, etc. So, I absolutely love what you're building. I love that I can easily explain it, and your marketing easily explains it. That's another huge key. I really, really enjoy hearing about this, because it is a huge pain point. The last thing I'll say is your product and your service that you're offering also speaks to one of the biggest challenges inside our industry, which is talent. New people coming in, old, people with lots of tenure leaving with all of their institutional knowledge about where to go, what to find, which carriers do what, which, by the way, is changing, but 30 plus years of experience of knowing how to do this versus someone walking in the door is nothing to shake. I mean, it's nothing to ignore. Having a resource that creates that knowledge for you right out of the gate is pretty impressive. And tell me, is this part of a training? Like, do you have a training track as well? Or is that part of your marketing plan?
So the whole idea behind it is to make the learning curve so minimal. It needs to be easy. And I'll tell you, if there's simplicity on the surface, there's complexity under it. And so that's what we do. And everything is an iteration, right? So we create a version, we see what people use and don't use. And if they don't use it, we remove it. We don't just keep adding, which I think a lot of
Yeah.
tech programs out there, they just keep adding more features and tools and buttons. And then it's just this overwhelming screen. And the agent brings it to the team and says, hey, figure out how to make this work. And they look at it and they go, I don't have time to try to figure this out and sell insurance and do this. And then it just gets pushed off and never used. And then they wonder why the product doesn't work. So we make it easy. And I have a client, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Let's call him John. And he calls me up. He's a good old boy in the middle of Florida and goes, Trace, I love your system. You know why? Because I can go to a Starbucks or a McDonald's and get someone with a great personality, get them licensed, stick them in the seat, and in 2 days, they can be quoting and writing business for me and making the clients happy. Because if we're the first one on the kitchen counter, we're winning the policy. And I said, done.
Nice.
And this is an older gentleman. So everyone embraces this technology, from my 20-year-olds to my 65-year-olds.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, when you make it easy and very straightforward, like I really like what you said about, I don't just take it and keep adding and adding and adding.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't use it, we'll remove it, because that's how you create good focus on your platform, right? So
perfect. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Any better. Yeah.
Yeah. Trace, would you do a little comparison for me of running an insurance agency versus running what I'm going to call a SaaS product? It's a SaaS product, right?
Yeah, software service.
There are some very major differences in between running two different companies like that, probably also some similarities. But what did running the insurance agency help teach you about being able to run a company like this?
So let me think here. That's an awesome question. I think one of the things I learned at the agency that I evolved over time, and I mentioned this early, iterations, right? Create a version, make it the best you can at the time with what you have, and then take it another step to make it even better. And so like when I came into the agency, we were a paper file system, 10,000 paper files wrapped around the office. I said, we're going digital. This is ridiculous, because that's what the initial frustration was in my office, is who has the Smith file? Like, who has the Smith file? This is 2007. We should be able to pull it up on a computer. Right. So that
we all have the Smith file. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, we all have the Smith file. Oh, it's on so what I learned was we need to fix that stressor first before I jump into email campaigns, before I figure out a new tech system. Let's get everything into the system first. So there's there's going to be, like you said, every agency has different things. So some people might have started digitally. Well, my agency started in 54. There was paper files go back to the 70s in there, right? So you have to find what that big pain point is, work on it, then see what opens up. It has to create some clarity. And so I don't think I would have noticed the underwriting issue if I hadn't fixed the digital issue first, right? Because that still would have been hovering over me. Yeah. Similarities and things that I've learned in the agency, I outsourced a lot that we had internal. And so I had internal bookkeepers, I had internal marketers, I had website developers, I had my own IT guy in the office. And these all became very expensive because when they were sick or out, nothing could get done. So my first thing was I brought an IT company in. They were available 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I paid a little more, but they were always available to fix it, right? Yeah. Then I brought in VAs, I brought in accounting, everything that didn't involve the selling of the policy, I really pushed to outsource. And so I learned that when I came to Ask Fetch to try to do that same thing, because it's tough having people to work with as a team. It's even harder when they're in little aspects of it that maybe you don't know enough about. Accounting, for instance. I have a CPA. He came once a week. He reviewed everything, and then we outsourced everything else. So then when it came to the end of tax time, everything was ready to go.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
You also de-risked your company, by the way. Like the thing is, one person leaves, all that institutional knowledge goes away, and it's really hard to build it again. So it definitely de-risked both companies, as a matter of fact, when you do that. So, yeah.
Well, and I would look to the pain points. I look to the pain points of my consumers. I would send out surveys and I would ask, what's going on? What do you love about the agency, not like? And one of the biggest issues was we didn't answer the phone enough. They got sent to voicemail. So I hired an outsourced company to answer the phone calls. And most of the time they could get the answer. It was just like, I need a deck page. I need a COI. I need a mortgagee change. I need an auto change. Sure, all these simple things. And then the phone hardly rang. anymore to have to deal. And it created a focus for my agents to focus on the consumer and getting their quotes and their policies bound.
You were clearly ahead of your time, because there's a lot of people still struggling with that very question,
Yeah.
So
there's so many agents out there that I hear that try to do their own accounting. And I'm like, don't spend it's not that expensive to outsource anymore.
Yeah,
No,
I get
it's
it.
not.
I get it. Yeah.
It is not, but it's also a hard thing to give up. I mean, you have to have a lot of trust in someone to be able to give up your accounting and totally recognize that. But once you do, what's the opportunity cost? What can you be doing for the agency without having to spend your
Right.
time doing accounting, right? There are huge opportunity costs there.
Well, and I'm a big study of the Stoics and Zen and just things like that and clearing the mind. And I think that's one of them is like, you think that that's something you can do. It's your identity. It's something you do. But once you take that out and hand it off to somebody else, you'd be surprised how much more comes to you in life and what you need to do and what you really like. Maybe you missed your son's baseball game or your daughter's recital because you wanted to finish the P&L that week. Well, take that out. Now you got to go. Wow.
Exactly. Imagine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Trace, I will tell you this. You led me there, and I can't. You gave me a stat earlier, so I'm going to give you a stat. So we did, I get to moderate a couple of masterminds, which I absolutely love. I get a whole bunch of agents in a room that want to be there, number one. They want to get better. They want to learn from each other. And we benchmarked the room. And we basically asked, what is your growth rate? What is your profitability rate? And a whole bunch of questions in between, one of which is, do you outsource? And there were several parts of the business that we asked if they are outsourced. Do you know the number one outsourcing that caused the profitability to jump the highest? I bet you can guess it.
The accounting?
You know why?
Because the agent was able to sell now?
Well, guess who does the accounting? The most expensive person and the most valuable in many cases was being done by the owner. When you took that brain power and you allowed them to look at, how do I set the vision of the agency? How do I do different? How do I focus on creating, referral partners or creating carrier relationships or creating network relationships, whatever it is, they were so much more impactful doing something A, they're good at, B, had way much more impact, and it showed up in the bottom line, which is crazy. So I
believe it 100%. I do this presentation for my team where I take a cup and a pitcher of water and I fill the cup up and I just let it keep flowing over. And it just keeps pouring over until somebody says something. And they said, "What are you doing?" I said, "This is what happens when we fill our brain up with what we're doing. We can't add any more water to it. We can't add anything to it. We need to empty our cup first." And that is in 100%. That really empties the cup and lets so much more greatness happen.
Agreed. Well, clearly we could talk to you forever, Trace. I love the idea that you solved a problem that we all struggle with, that all agents struggle with. I urge anyone, if you want to know more about Ask Fetch, reach out to Trace. We'll put all of your contact information in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining us and being our guest today. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you so much for having me. I had the most energy in a podcast in a long time. So thank you both.
Oh, good. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Insurance Refocused podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please be sure to hit subscribe and leave us a review so you'll never miss us. Want to learn more about how Agency Focus can help you grow your agency? Head to agency-focus.com or email Carey directly at carey@agency-focus.com. If you need to get in touch with me, feel free to shoot me an email at lindsay@agency-focus.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.